We all remember where we were on 9/11. Whether you were at school, work, or at home, you were glued to the television trying to make sense of the attack. In this week's Central Texas Spotlight, we're meeting a local man who was with President Bush during the chaos as he recounts his experience and explains why it's important for younger generations to hear about that tragic day.
People whose only crime that day was getting up and going to work. They were innocent people, and they were attacked by barbarians.
Today, Terry Abbott runs the communications department for Killeen ISD. But back on September 11th, 2001, he was the chief of staff to the U.S. Secretary of Education, and just so happened to be one of several staffers accompanying President Bush on school visits in Florida when the first plane flew into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Everyone thought it was an accident. That is, until the second plane hit.
He was sitting there reading with children when his chief of staff came in and whispered in his ear. Andy said, "Mr. President, a second plane has hit the second tower. America is under attack." His press secretary, R.A. Fleischer, he wrote down on a yellow notepad and then held it up for the president to see, but no one else could see it. And it said, "Don't say anything yet."
Abbott says that's because the president's team didn't want to alarm the school children, but also wanted to take a few moments to ensure that the right message was delivered to the American people and to the terrorists.
He said, he looked right in that camera in there in that room, and he said,
to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act.
I would love to have seen the look on the terrorists' faces at that point, because I think they expected us to just roll over and be so stricken by this that we wouldn't be able to function. That didn't happen at all.
Abbott says the hours that followed were chaos.
All of our cell phones crashed.
And after the president's speedy exit on Air Force One, Abbott and others ended up stuck at the airport with all flights grounded. But they made it out on a C-130 the following day.
And it was an eerie feeling because we were the only plane in the sky.
He says the pandemonium revealed the patriotism.
There were no more Democrats and Republicans. There was a united front against the people who were trying to destroy our way of life. Finally, a few days later, I took my son, who was just a little boy at that time, took him out to the National Mall right in front of the Capitol building and played pitch with him. What I was trying to say to my little family was, we're not going to be cowed by this.
And while the memories still bring him to tears at times, he uses the anniversary each year to share his story with the next generation. Hopeful it will never be forgotten.
We as educators have got to make sure that we remind our kids exactly what happened that day and why it is so critically important that their generation be ever vigilant in the fight against terrorism, just as our generation has had to be, because we don't want to have to learn that lesson again.
Abbott will be the guest speaker at Killeen ISD's Freedom Walk tomorrow morning at Killeen High School from 9:30 to 11 a.m. There he'll share his experience directly with students. If you know of someone I should spotlight in the future, shoot me a message on Facebook at Imani Payne TV, or you can email me at epayne@kcentv.com.